The skies above Earth suddenly darkened. For days, strange ships hovered above the planet, their shapes so massive that they seemed to blot out the sun. The people on Earth had no idea what was coming, and when it did, it was far worse than anyone could have imagined. The Krithar had arrived. The Krithar were unlike anything humanity had ever seen. Their ships were sleek and powerful, and their technology was centuries ahead of Earth's. It was no contest. From the moment the first ship entered Earth's atmosphere, humanity's fate was sealed. Within hours, the alien invaders unleashed a devastating assault on Earth's military. Cities were leveled. Governments fell. The once proud armies of Earth had no chance against the Krithar's superior weapons and towering war machines. The world watched in horror as the Krithar's ground forces, massive and relentless, marched through cities, forcing humans into submission. The streets ran with smoke and fear. The first to fight back were quickly crushed, and within days, entire nations were overrun. Earth's leaders tried to organize a defense, but every plan failed. There were no secrets left, no hope of escape. Humanity was outmatched. The Krithar didn't just want to conquer Earth, they wanted to enslave its people. Their soldiers herded millions of humans into camps, where they were forced into labor. For the Krithar, humans were no more than resources to be harvested, and any resistance was quickly silent. The cities became war zones, filled with broken buildings, scattered remnants of human lives, and alien forces that marched with cold precision. To the Krithar, Earth was simply another world to conquer, another set of resources to plunder. They knew humans were no threat. To them, Earth was theirs to do with as they pleased. The world was plunged into despair. What little hope remained seemed to vanish with each passing day. It felt like there was no way out. Earth's governments argued among themselves, some giving in to the Krithar demands for total submission, while others continued to fight hopelessly. And yet, despite the overwhelming odds, something stirred deep within the planet itself, something no one expected. In the underground laboratories of a small research facility in the mountains, a group of scientists worked tirelessly. They were led by Dr. Nina Torres, a brilliant physicist who had been studying ancient texts and artifacts for years. Dr. Torres had always believed that humanity was capable of more, that the planet itself held secrets long forgotten. As the Krithar took control, she and her team turned their focus to the strange energy signatures that seemed to be coming from deep beneath Earth's surface. Could there be something hidden there, something powerful enough to turn the tide? It was in a forgotten cave system, hidden beneath layers of rock and soil, that Dr. Torres and her team made their discovery. There, buried deep within the earth, lay an ancient artifact. It was unlike anything they had ever seen, a mysterious, glowing object that seemed to hum with energy. The artifact had been there for centuries, maybe even millennia, waiting to be found. When Dr. Torres touched it, she felt a surge of power unlike anything she had ever experienced. The artifact seemed to connect with her very being, as though it was unlocking something deep within her. It wasn't just a relic. It was a key to something much bigger, something that could give humanity the power to fight back. Dr. Torres knew that this discovery was their last hope. The team worked day and night, trying to understand the artifact's power. They ran tests, analyzed the strange symbols engraved on its surface, and examined the energy it emitted. Slowly, they began to realize that this was no ordinary object. It was a key to unlocking humanity's true potential. The artifact didn't just hold power, it could awaken abilities that were buried deep within human DNA. Abilities that could make humans stronger, faster, and more powerful than ever before. But there was one problem. The Krithar were getting stronger too. The aliens knew that Earth was not as defenseless as they had thought. They began to tighten their grip on the planet, sending more soldiers to hunt down any remaining pockets of resistance. The clock was ticking, and humanity's time was running out. Dr. Torres knew that if they didn't act soon, it would be too late. With the Krithar's forces closing in, she decided to conduct a dangerous experiment. She would use the artifact to unlock its power fully, to awaken the latent abilities within humans. But the risks were enormous. There was no guarantee that the power would even work. What if it made things worse? What if they were unleashing a force they couldn't control? Still, there was no choice. The fate of Earth was hanging by a thread. As the Krithar forces drew closer, Dr. Torres and her team prepared for the experiment. They knew they had to act quickly, or humanity would be lost forever. As they placed their hands on the artifact, something strange happened. The energy within it began to pulse. The room seemed to vibrate with power, and the air grew thick with anticipation. Dr. Torres held her breath, praying that this was the moment that would change everything. And then, the artifact began to glow brighter than ever before. Cliffhanger, the room was bathed in a blinding light. For a moment, everything seemed to freeze. Dr. Torres couldn't help but wonder, had they unlocked humanity's true potential? Or had they just unleashed a power that even they couldn't control? Only time would tell, as the world stood on the edge of a new, dangerous era. After the terrifying discovery of the ancient artifact, humanity's fate hung in the balance. The first experiment had revealed something extraordinary. The artifact wasn't just a relic from Earth's past. It was a key that unlocked a power long hidden within the very DNA of every human. It was the only hope Earth had left. Dr. Nina Torres stood before the artifact, her hands shaking as she studied it. The energy it radiated was unlike anything she had ever felt. It pulsed with a force that seemed to resonate with her very being. She had spent months studying it, learning everything she could. Now, it was time to find out what would happen when they activated it fully. Her team of scientists had worked tirelessly, using the artifact to trigger the dormant powers hidden deep within humanity's genetic code. They didn't know exactly what would happen, but they couldn't afford to wait any longer. With the Krithar closing in and Earth on the verge of total collapse, there was no time for hesitation. When they finally activated the artifact, the results were beyond their expectations. It was like a surge of electricity running through the planet itself. Across the world, people who had never imagined they could do anything extraordinary suddenly felt a change. A man in the streets of New York suddenly found he could lift cars with ease. A woman in Paris could move objects with a single thought. In every corner of the world, humanity's power began to awaken. Some could run faster than a speeding train. Others could manipulate the elements fire, wind, even water, bending them to their will. There were those who gained the ability to read minds, to communicate with others without speaking a word. For the first time, humans realized they were not as helpless as they had once thought. The power was always inside them, just waiting to be unleashed. Dr. Torres gathered a small group of rebels, humans who had been part of the resistance from the very beginning. With their newfound abilities, they began launching small attacks against the Krithar. The aliens had always thought of Earth as an easy conquest. They were wrong. Humans were no longer the helpless, defenseless species they had been a few months ago. Now, they had powers that could rival even the Krithar. The first few attacks were small, disrupting Krithar patrols, taking out supply lines and sabotaging alien communication networks. But the humans were quick learners. Each victory gave them more confidence, and with each attack, their powers grew stronger. It wasn't long before they managed to destroy a Krithar communication hub, sending the alien forces into disarray. The invaders were no longer sure of their dominance. News of the human resistance spread like wildfire. People across the world joined the fight. Governments, once torn by fear and doubt, began to unite. Ordinary citizens, powered by their newfound abilities, took up arms against the Krithar, hitting back with a strength and determination that shocked the invaders. The first major victory came when a group of rebels, using their powers to coordinate a precise strike, destroyed one of the Krithar's massive warships. It crashed to the earth with a thunderous roar, sending a wave of hope through humanity. The Krithar, who had once believed they could wipe out humanity without breaking a sweat, now found themselves on the defensive. The more humans awakened their powers, the more the tide began to turn. Alien patrols were ambushed. Krithar strongholds fell one by one. Earth was no longer the enslaved world it had once been. It was a planet at war, and humanity was fighting back with everything it had. But Zarnak, the ruthless leader of the Krithar, was not so easily defeated. As reports of humanity's victories reached him, he grew furious. He had underestimated Earth, and that was a mistake he would not repeat. In response to the growing rebellion, he ordered a massive retaliation. The Krithar sent their most dangerous soldiers, elite warriors with enhanced armor and weapons, into the heart of the human resistance. Their mission was simple: wipe out the rebellion before it could grow any stronger. The stakes were higher than ever. The Krithars' forces had become more brutal, and they had begun hunting down human resistance fighters with a ferocity that made them almost unstoppable. But as the battles grew more intense, something strange began to happen. The artifact, which had awakened humanity's powers, was also changing them. Dr. Torres noticed it first. Her team had become more than just warriors, they were evolving. Some of them developed abilities far beyond what the artifact had originally granted. It was as if the artifact was adapting, shaping their powers to suit the needs of the moment. It was a blessing, yes, but also a curse. The more they used their powers, the more unstable they became. Some rebels started to lose control. Powers that had once been a gift now threatened to consume them. People who could move objects with their minds began to unintentionally destroy everything in their path. Those who could communicate telepathically started hearing the thoughts of everyone around them, drowning in a sea of voices. The very power that was supposed to save humanity was now putting them at risk. Dr. Torres feared that they were on the edge of something dangerous. If they couldn't learn to control the power they had awakened, it might destroy them from the inside out. And yet, there was no turning back. The Krithar were coming, and Earth's only chance at survival lay in their ability to master the power they had unlocked. As the Krithars' elite forces began to close in on the rebel strongholds, Dr. Torres stood at the head of the resistance, staring at the glowing artifact. Could they harness the full potential of the power it had unlocked without losing themselves? Or would this newfound strength be their undoing? The fate of humanity rested on the answer, and time was running out. The world had changed. What was once a planet under the boot of the Krithar was now a battleground, a place where the oppressed had risen up, powered by newfound strength. Earth's people were no longer living in fear. They were fighting back, and their rebellion was unstoppable. Across the globe, resistance groups began to form. In every corner of the Earth, humans, ordinary men and women who had once been powerless, were now united by one goal: freedom. No longer divided by borders or ideologies, the world's governments put aside their differences and rallied together. The Krithar were no longer an overwhelming force. Humanity had found its strength, and together they were an army. Dr. Nina Torres stood at the heart of this new rebellion. As the scientist who had unlocked humanity's dormant abilities with the ancient artifact, she had become a leader, a symbol of hope. But even she couldn't have predicted the sheer force of the human uprising. The rebellion had spread like wildfire, with resistance groups striking in every major city. What had once been a scattered, disorganized fight had become a unified movement. People from every walk of life, teachers, farmers, doctors, soldiers, were now wielding powers that made them stronger than ever before. Some could levitate objects, while others could teleport or summon fire. Even the most ordinary people had become extraordinary. Every day, cities across the globe transformed into battlegrounds. In the streets of Paris, rebels used their powers to launch surprise attacks, taking out Krithar patrols and ambushing supply lines. In New York, resistance fighters with enhanced speed sabotaged the aliens' communications, sending them into chaos. In Tokyo, humans who had unlocked telekinetic abilities tore down Krithar fortifications, giving them their first true victories. The Krithar had underestimated Earth, and now they were on the defensive. The tables had turned, and humanity was determined to free their planet. But the Krithar were not going down without a fight. Zarnak, the merciless commander of the Krithar, watched with growing rage as his forces faltered. The alien invaders had once ruled with terrifying power, but now they were losing ground. The humans had taken down several key bases, destroyed warships, and caused widespread panic in the Krithar ranks. Earth's fighters were growing stronger with every victory. What had once been a few isolated skirmishes had become full-scale warfare. Zarnak knew something drastic needed to happen if the Krithar were to maintain their hold on Earth. And so, deep inside the Krithar mothership, Zarnak activated a weapon, a secret force that had been lying dormant, waiting for the right moment. It was an ancient creature, older than any of the Krithar soldiers. a monstrous alien being, capable of destroying entire armies with a single swipe of its claws. This was the Crithar's ultimate weapon, something so powerful, so deadly that not even Earth's newfound strength could stand against it. Back on Earth, the rebels were preparing for their biggest attack yet. The time had come to destroy the Crithar mothership, the source of the invaders' power. Dr. Torres and her team had managed to decipher enough of the Crithar's technology to pinpoint the mothership's location. They had built a plan, and this time they wouldn't fail. It was a risky move, but it was their only shot at ending the invasion once and for all. The rebellion had grown too large, and Earth's people had come too far to back down now. The resistance fighters had gathered in large numbers, prepared to strike the mothership with everything they had. With their powers fully awakened, they were ready to take down the Crithar once and for all. The assault was underway. Rebels flooded the skies in ships they had taken from the Crithar, while others stormed the mothership's defenses, using their powers to fight their way through. But just as the humans began their assault, something shifted in the air. A tremor ran through the ground, and a low growl reverberated through the mothership's walls. The Crithar had unleashed something far worse than their regular soldiers. The air thickened with dread, and for the first time in the rebellion, even the strongest fighters hesitated. The alien creature Zarnak's secret weapon emerged from the depths of the mothership. It was a towering, monstrous beast, covered in scales as dark as the night. Its eyes glowed with a terrifying, otherworldly power. The creature was massive, with claws as long as a human arm and teeth that could tear through steel. It was the Crithar's final answer to the humans' uprising. The human forces were thrown into disarray. The creature's mere presence was enough to shake the confidence of even the most battle-hardened resistance fighters. It moved with terrifying speed, ripping through the rebel lines with ease. It was an unstoppable force, something the humans had never faced before. The tide of the battle shifted in an instant, and now, more than ever, humanity was faced with a question: could they control their newfound powers, or would this monstrous enemy be their end? As the creature rampaged through the battlefield, Dr. Torres and the human resistance had to make a choice. Could they stop it in time? Or would this final weapon of the Crithar destroy their only chance at victory? The fate of the planet was once again on the line, and the humans were about to face their most terrifying challenge yet. Humanity stood on the precipice of victory. The Crithar invaders had been pushed to the brink, their once unstoppable forces now scattered across Earth. The rebels were closing in on the final stronghold, the Crithar mothership, the source of all their power. Yet, the war was not over. The Crithar had one final weapon, a creature so powerful that even the strongest human fighters feared it. But this was Earth's last stand. No matter what, they would not surrender. Dr. Nina Torres and her team had led the charge. They had unlocked the power within humanity, but now, as they boarded the ships that would take them to the mothership, they understood the gravity of the situation. The Crithar had unleashed their secret weapon, and it was unlike anything humanity had ever faced. It was an enormous, ancient creature, older than any Crithar soldier. Its eyes glowed with malevolent power, and it moved with terrifying speed and strength. For the first time, the rebellion seemed on the edge of defeat. The assault on the mothership was unlike anything the world had seen. Hundreds of human fighters, their powers at their peak, infiltrated the massive ship. Armed with the abilities unlocked by the artifact, they fought their way through alien defenses. With telekinesis, they tore through walls. With enhanced speed, they dodged the enemy's deadly fire. But nothing could prepare them for the creature they would soon face. The creature was waiting for them, hidden in the depths of the mothership. It was more terrifying than any of them had imagined. Its size, its speed, its power. It was like an unstoppable force of nature. Humans who once would have run in fear now stood tall, charging at the beast with all the strength they had. But even with their newfound abilities, many fell in battle. The creature tore through the human fighters with brutal efficiency, its claws rending their enemies apart. No one was safe. Dr. Torres watched the battle unfold from the command center. Her heart raced, and her mind worked furiously. She knew that the artifact could do more than just unlock human powers. it had the potential to tap into something greater, something far more powerful. And with Earth's very future on the line, she realized that the only way to defeat this creature and the Krithar once and for all was to use the artifact to its full potential. As the battle raged on, Dr. Taurus and her team made a bold move. They channeled the energy of the Earth itself through the artifact. The ground beneath the mothership seemed to rumble, as if the planet itself was awakening in response to the humans' call. The energy they unleashed was unimaginable, a wave of pure force that radiated from the artifact and washed over the creature. The beast howled in agony as the power ripped through it. In seconds, the creature's immense strength faltered, its monstrous form crumbling under the force. It fell, defeated. But the destruction didn't stop there. The force from the artifact didn't just destroy the creature, it destabilized the mothership. The massive ship began to shake violently as the alien structure buckled under the pressure. Zarnak, seeing his empire crumbling, tried to flee, but it was too late. The artifact had done its work. The mothership was coming apart at the seams. Dr. Torres and her team had one final task to get off the mothership before it exploded. As the ship collapsed, the remaining Krithar forces panicked, scrambling for escape. But Earth's fighters had already achieved victory. The mothership, the symbol of the Krithar's power, was no more. The creature that had terrorized them was dead, and Zarnak, the leader of the Krithar, had nowhere to hide. The rebels had succeeded. The skies above Earth were clear for the first time in years. Humanity had freed their planet. The Krithar were defeated, their forces scattered across the galaxy. The rebellion, once a hopeless cause, had turned into a triumph. Earth was no longer a world under the control of an alien empire. It was a planet free, a world where humanity had proven that even in the face of impossible odds, they could rise up and fight. But the victory came with its own set of questions. The artifact, the source of humanity's power, had unlocked something more than just strength. Dr. Torres stood with her team, staring at the now glowing relic. It had done more than change the course of the war, it had changed everything. What else could it unlock? What other secrets did it hold? As Earth began the long process of rebuilding, these questions lingered in the minds of the people. They had won their freedom, but what dangers or possibilities lay ahead? The artifact had shown them the power within their world. Could they control it? Or would the very power they had unleashed be their undoing? The humans had won. Earth was free from the Krithar. The skies were clear, and the world was united once again. But with the artifact still in their possession, what would they choose to do with the power they had unlocked? And what new challenges would they face now that they had proven themselves capable of unimaginable strength?